Hello and welcome to this virtual tour of Plymouth in the Blitz. My name is Adrian Chapman and I'm your Blue Badge guide for this tour. Before you can see the iconic picture of Plymouth, Plymouth Hoe, with Smeaton's Tower, the third lighthouse to stand on the notorious Eddystone Reef, 14 miles southwest of Plymouth. It was relocated to this spot, the exact spot where a beacon was placed to warn of the forthcoming Spanish Armada in the 16th century. There's been a settlement in Plymouth for over 1,000 years, dating back to the Anglo-Saxons. Throughout that time, Plymouth has faced many threats of invasion, whether it be the Vikings, the French, the Spanish, or more recently Germany during the two World Wars. We're going to concentrate on the most recent conflict, World War II. We're going to start the tour on the 3rd of September 1939, the outbreak of war being announced by our Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain.
This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
You can see this amazing picture taken from Plymouth Hoe before the war, showing part of the naval fleet shining their searchlights up into the night sky. This gives you an idea of what it might have been like with the searchlights trying to pick out the enemy bombers during the Blitz. In the foreground is the Victorian Plymouth Pier, built in 1880 and known locally as the Layer Cake. It was one of the casualties of the war, being hit by incendiary bombs and consumed by fire. It was eventually removed 7 years after the war in 1952. That sound is something that the people of Plymouth would have dreaded and heard on too many occasions. The map you can see shows the streets of Old Plymouth before the war. Each black dot shows the location where a bomb was dropped. The first bombs to be dropped were in July 1940, but the heaviest bombing took place in March and April of 1941. Thousands of incendiary bombs were dropped on Plymouth, with the main targets being the Plymouth Naval Base, the largest in Western Europe, and the dockyards of Devonport. The fires were so ferocious that the glow in the night sky could be seen as far as Exeter, over 40 miles away.
We have before us many, many long months of struggle and of suffering. You ask, what is our policy? I can say, it is to wage war by sea, land and air with all our might and with all the strength that God can give us. To wage war against a monstrous enemy. That is our policy. You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word. It is victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory however long and hard the road may be. For without victory, there is no survival. I say, let us go forward with all our combined strength.
Those were just a few words from one of these speeches from Winston Churchill. These speeches gave the people of Britain hope to carry on. Churchill also visited the streets of Plymouth after the Plymouth Blitz. He travelled in an open-top car, and the sight of the devastation brought tears to his eyes. But his presence alone gave the people of Plymouth hope to carry on. This is an up-to-date map of Plymouth city centre. Look at the pink area, which was totally destroyed and rebuilt to form the modern-day commercial area of the city. This was designed by Sir Patrick Abercrombie, who was appointed by Plymouth City Council in the summer of 1941 to produce the plan for Plymouth. Because of this early work, Plymouth was one of the first cities in the country to be rebuilt. The image you can see shows Royal Parade in the 1950s, with the Dingles building on the left-hand side, clearly in shot. The commercial buildings are made from Portland limestone, and the original plan was for the shop fronts to be brightly coloured in contrast to the bright white of the Portland stone. This is an aerial view of Plymouth, showing the Tinside Art Deco outdoor swimming pool with Plymouth Hoe standing above. We get a fantastic view of the Plymouth War Memorial, which commemorates the 23,000 service personnel lost or buried at sea during the two world wars. It was erected in 1924 and designed by the architect Sir Robert Lorimer. Two identical memorials stand at Portsmouth and at Chatham. You can see a close-up of the copper sphere on top of the obelisk. Can you see the dent? This was caused by a barrage balloon which collided with it during World War II. Behind the memorial is Armada Way, which leads from Plymouth Hoe all the way to Plymouth train station. We now move on to the Royal Marines War Memorial with the Royal Plymouth Citadel standing behind. It was erected in the 1920s to commemorate the Royal Marines who fell during the Great War, but was later amended to include those soldiers who fell during World War II. You can now see the Royal Plymouth Citadel, home to the 29 Commando Regiment Royal Artillery, a place where anti-aircraft batteries defended Plymouth during the war. You can see this magnificent entrance with its Baroque architecture, which leads to this impressive defensive structure, the finest example of a 17th century fortress anywhere in the world. You see before you a view of Charles Church looking along Exeter Street, with the new Drake's shopping centre behind, framing it as if the rest of the city is falling along the wayside on either side. The church has been left as a monument to those people who lost their lives during the Plymouth Blitz. 1,174 civilians and over 4,500 who were injured. Because of their bravery, we are here today living a life of freedom. I would say to you, if you've enjoyed this tour, please come and visit Plymouth, the Ocean City. Thank you.